through splashdown, which will be about 5 days from now. And it's worth mentioning that two of our crew members, Anna and Sarah, have sat in these very seats before as part of the SpaceX team. Anna served in mission control during multiple Dragon missions, including Demo 2, Crew 1, CRS 22 and 23, Crew 3 and Crew 4, as well as Axiom 1. And Sarah has supported real-time operations for Dragon's cargo resupply missions to and from the International Space Station as a navigation officer and as a crew communicator for Dragon's human spaceflight missions. And now they'll get to see what it's like from the other side inside of Dragon.
Although Anna and Sarah have trained astronauts for SpaceX missions, they were not exempt from going through that exact training themselves. The Polaris Dawn crew has gone through the same rigorous SpaceX training as our NASA astronauts. Plus, they also had to train to perform an EVA, or an extracurricular vehicle activity.
We had an opportunity to talk to Anna, Jared, Kid, and Sarah about their training experiences, and here's what they had to say.
The bulk of the training has been rightfully focused on the EVA, or the spacewalks. In a development program, you don't know what you need to train to. Like, how can we run pressurized operations, simulate microgravity, but also have like a simulator that's powered, with hatches to get in and out of, so we don't have to submerge that in a pool.
We looked at a suspension system solution where we can set up a physics model that allows you to pressurize the suit, put on a harness, and then a hoist will lift a suited crew member up. And you can basically use one finger and you press down and your whole body will move up, just like in space.
It allowed us to really put into practice the different piece-by-piece steps that are necessary to complete this operation safely.
One aspect of our training has been scuba diving. The buoyancy allows us to kind of experience a different environment. The lack of communication is a challenge associated with scuba diving.
You rely on alternate forms of communication. You'll use different hand signals to communicate, like I'm okay, you're okay. So I would say scuba diving has a ton of great training lessons that are directly applicable to our spacewalk.
I have to say, I think the max fun here was the skydiving we did at the Air Force Academy. That was some of the best training ever.
When I dropped out of that airplane, sitting in the airplane as I was going up, I felt those nerves, all of that rush of emotions that comes with, recognizing that you are about to do a really high consequence operation.
And you're standing out, leaning into the wind, out of an aircraft, and then you just let go and you fall. It was incredible training, some of the most memorable training we've done.
For the centrifuge training, the purpose is to go through both a launch and a reentry, as well as a launch escape mission profile in this human centrifuge that's spinning you around and imparting forces on your body that are similar to the ones that we will experience when we go through those operations actually in space.
When you're in space, you have to deal with the circumstances that you're dealt. Similar fashion is climbing a mountain. You're on the side of a mountain, it's taken days to get to where you're at, approaching the summit. You're dehydrated, you're hungry. You learn to manage those stressors. And those are all good preparation techniques in getting ready for space exploration.
We've had it all. We've had unbelievable, highs, and we've had lows. It's just been a great 2 years of growth. Some of the best times of my life.
Before the segment, I called it an extracurricular activity. My brain is clearly tired. It's extravehicular activity. And as we mentioned earlier, much of the training that the crew went through was to prepare them to perform that extravehicular activity, or an EVA. Because Dragon does not have an airlock, the entire cabin will be depressurized. So essentially, all 4 astronauts will be performing the EVA. Jared and Sarah will exit the spacecraft to perform their tasks, while Kid and Anna remain inside to conduct their experiments and act as the ears and eyes. The EVA will last about 2 hours from the time that the cabin air is vented to when it is repressurized again.
As they prepare for the EVA, the crew...
Stage 2 cryo-helium load has started.
Good call-outs there. As they prepare for the EVA, the crew will go through a pre-breathing procedure, which will involve slowly dropping the atmospheric pressure of Dragon while increasing the concentration of oxygen in the air. This process is similar to what is known as a safety stop in the diving community. This will give their bodies plenty of time to acclimate to the difference in pressure ahead of the EVA.
SpaceX designed the EVA suits for the Polaris Dawn crew, and they'll wear it during the spacewalk. The EVA suits protect the crew inside the spacecraft while also allowing them to leave the spacecraft when needed.
Upgrades include new joint designs that remain soft until pressurized while maintaining mobility, improved thermal management, and an upgraded helmet with an exterior coating that acts like a sun visor, along with a camera and heads-up display that provides information on the status of the suit during the spacewalk.
Let's take a look at the making of the suits that our crew will be wearing during the first ever commercial EVA.
An EVA suit is an extravehicular activity suit, which is a spacesuit that can go outside of the spacecraft to do a spacewalk. We started with the IVA suit that we have, the intravehicular activity suit, as a kind of starting point, and looked at it and said, what would we have to change about this to be able to support a spacewalk? So the first is mobility. The crew will have to do a lot of moving around inside of Dragon to get outside and do the spacewalk. We had to add in new joints and new features in the suit to allow them enhanced mobility while the suit's pressurized.
When a crew member is pressurized in the suit, the soft portions of the suit become rigid. They need actual flexure and rotational joints to allow them to move around. It's kind of like a suit of armor made of fabric. We innovated in flexure joints to allow easy bending at the elbows and the knees, as well as a collapsible rotator joint that exists on the shoulder, which allows the suit to remain nearly fully soft, but when pressurized is a rotational bearing.
The difference between the IVA and the EVA suit is that on the IVA suit, the zipper system location is in the inseam. But since we needed to have lots of mobility on our EVA suit, that was not their choice. By moving the zipper system from the inseam to the waist, we mitigated risk of the stress of the zipper.
And another big element was also the thermal side of things. The crew is obviously exposed to a much more extreme thermal environment during the EVA. So we want to make sure that the inside of the suit is comfortable for them, and that as they interface with parts of the vehicle, that is safe for them to touch as well.
The EVA suit is built and designed here at SpaceX in Houghton, California. We wanted to have something that's easy manufactured that we can handle here in-house. So we developed this new material, so it's fabric-based.
We actually added a new layer to the suit, which we refer to as the Faraday layer. And this is a conductive cage around the suit that shields the suit from external electric fields.
The helmet on the EVA suit looks very similar to the IVA suit, but it is really an all-new design of that helmet. It's much more robust from a thermal structural perspective, since it will be taking more extreme temperatures.
We are really excited to introduce this new single-pane visor helmet to the world of spacesuits. The EVA suit visor is made of polycarbonate and is coated with copper and ITO, or indium tinoxide. These two coatings together reflect the sun away from the crew, as well as reflecting infrared heat back to the crew when they are facing deep space. Our suit has a HUD, or heads-up display, which is a small display screen in the helmet, which is transparent, which allows the crew to see through the display to have unfettered access during their EVA. But it also provides critical telemetry to the crew, so pressure, temperature, relative humidity.
We're trying to improve the technology and streamline it in one way, and at the same time, we're also trying to get it more and more manufacturable with each generation. The ultimate goal is that you can put on a spacesuit and go out and get work done anywhere in the solar system and not feel like you're wearing anything more than you normally wear every day.
Between 190 to 700 kilometers above Earth, the Polaris Dawn crew will attempt the first ever commercial spacewalk. Here's how it all came together.
EVA stands for extravehicular activity, and it's any sort of operation in space where a human is getting out of the spacecraft. So in the case of Polaris Dawn, we're going to be testing the mobility of the suit. We're going to see if the in-space operation matches the training we've done here in Hawthorne. There's really a lot of different things that can happen during an EVA, and this is the first step for Dragon and SpaceX.
When I first started working at SpaceX, I never thought I'd be training a crew to do an EVA. It's brand new, it's so unique, we've never done anything like this before, and so we wanted to make sure we had the best possible training program for this mission.
We want to see if we can train a spacewalk on Earth in a way that's representative of what it feels like in space.
Even though only 2 people are going to be going outside during this first EVA, 4 crew will be in EVA suits going down to vacuum.
Dragon was always designed to vent to full vacuum, but we've never taken full Dragon capsule down to vacuum, and this will be the first time we do it in space.
We actually put crew into a chamber at Johnson Space Center in Houston and had them live the exact profile that they will experience, and making sure that no one actually experienced decompression sickness.
We have a couple new training assets for Polaris Dawn to train the EVA specifically. The suspension system that we have is situated on top of the platform of our capsule simulator. The lines drop through the hatch. They attach to a single crew member inside the capsule. We can lift them up and get them situated so that they can egress the capsule and perform their tasks at Skywalker, the mobility aid.
The Skywalker, what's amazing to me is a lot of people are going to think it's a metallic structure just bolted to the top of Dragon, but a lot of development effort, testing went into the Skywalker. So we actually used similar technology as we have in the Super Draco chambers to apply a thermal barrier coating to the outside of the Skywalker. That is going to be a really, really amazing mobility aid on the front end of Dragon.
We also developed a sideways simulator, so we flip the hatch on its side.
In the event the hatch fails to close, they can manually close the hatch. We had them do that in a sideways suspension system, so gravity isn't helping them close or helping them open that hatch mechanism.
It's new development for Dragon, it's new development for SpaceX and the industry as a whole. So this is a great example of where Polaris Dawn is forcing the team to innovate in a way that adds safety and reliability to every Dragon mission going forward.
That's this huge challenge for us to go solve, but that's also an opportunity for us to solve the problems that we have to go figure out anyway for our larger goals, like putting people on Mars.
The Polaris Dawn objectives are the first step towards that ultimate flight with humans inside of Starship, which is right on the SpaceX development path that we have towards getting to the Moon and Mars.
All right, we are T-minus 17 and just under a half minutes until liftoff of Polaris Dawn. This mission will fly higher than any Dragon mission to date. There'll be lots of research experiments performed while the crew is on orbit, and most notably, they're going to perform the first ever commercial spacewalk. We're super excited to see the clock continue to count down. The crew is in their seats. The vehicle is actually being loaded with propellants as we speak. That began at T-minus 35 minutes. The launch system is armed, and we have gotten the okay to go from the crew. They are ready to go to space.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We've got their new EVA suits on board with the crew. This will be the first time that we've ever flown these EVA spacesuits, which I think is...
Stage 2 LOX load has started.
Which I think is one of the most exciting parts about this mission. And we did get a good call that Stage 2 LOX liquid oxygen loading is now beginning on the vehicle.
Now, this mission will orbit Earth for about 5 days. And in addition to the first commercial spacewalk, it'll be the first time that we will be utilizing our newly designed Skywalker hardware, which I love the name. And it is a mobility aid that Sarah and Jared will use in their EVA suit testing during their EVA. So we are very much looking forward to the launch in just over 15 and a half minutes now. And everything so far looking good. We had much improved weather conditions when our first T0 favorability. So As you can see on your screen, like I said, about 15 minutes from the liftoff of Polaris Dawn. Lots of excitement building here in the building in Hawthorne, just outside of Mission Control. Now, I can only imagine what the crew is feeling as the clock counts down. Now, as we all wait together, let's hear from some of the crew of the Inspiration 4 mission as they reflect on what they were feeling just before their mission liftoff.
I gotta say, right now, launching, people always ask me if I was afraid as soon as the engines lit and started taking off. And I was like, no, I was ready. But for me, you know, liftoff was really about concentrating on my job as the mission pilot. And I was wondering, because you guys, you know, were able to kind of sit there and enjoy it and sense it. How was it for you?
Launch was the most fun I've ever had. I was just so excited, and people had been asking me, like, are you gonna be nervous? And I thought I would be, but I just, again, I kept waiting to get nervous and it didn't come. And then they're counting down from 10. And I remember saying, let's do this. Oh. And I might have had an expletive in there too. But then, you know, we're hearing the 10 count and it's delayed because of the delay from Mission Control. And so we're hearing, like, they're on maybe 2 whenever we're actually lifting off. Right. But Jared was giving us his own count. And I remember he said something like, all right, guys, get ready. And then we felt this big jolt. And then, of course, a lot of G-forces that came on really quickly, but it was just so smooth. Yeah. And I remember I had the biggest smile on my face. Like, I was having so much fun.
Yeah. You know, and for me, it wasn't just sitting there idly going for a ride. It was thinking about, okay, what am I hearing? What's that pressure I'm feeling through my chest? Because this is happening probably just once, right? And so how do you share this? How do you tell someone what you're going through in this moment if you're not paying attention to everything? And so that's what I was really trying to do, was, you know, look between my toes at the window, or look over at your screen, Cyan, and see, you know, where we are.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could see how much you could see, because I couldn't see out the, you know, I was laser focused on listening to Jared and watching the monitor, and I was surprised at how smooth it was, because I was expecting for it to be a little bit more, you know, where the monitors are going like this, but it wasn't at all. Mm-hmm. But I always wondered, did you look between your toes and see? Could you see out? Were you able to? I don't think I did.
I remember right before we launched, just seeing it was very dark. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we could really see anything except darkness.
Yeah, I don't think we really could see anything except, and it wasn't until we got into space that we made our first orbit around it, where the sun was, you know, rising from the other side of the Earth, that we actually got our first light from the sun enter the capsule.
Yeah. Yes, and I remember saying out loud, "Is that the Earth?" And like, obviously, what else would it have been? But it was just so unbelievable, I had to say it out loud.
Yeah, interesting comment about first light. We'll be launching about an hour before sunrise at Cocoa Beach, Kennedy Space Center. But as they head into orbit, I wonder how long it'll take before we get sunlight into the capsules. They're heading northeast towards the sunrise.
Yeah, the crew is certainly prepared for some pretty amazing views on ascent. You know, we just heard from the Inspiration 4 crew about some of their experience with their launch. I absolutely love hearing them describe just how smooth the ride is. You know, that's always so surprising to me. We have 9 M1Ds, 1.7 million pounds of thrust, but yet somehow the ride is still smooth. That's just amazing.
I was actually just looking back at my Inspiration 4 liftoff notes in my handy-dandy notebook, and Sarah, who is our mission specialist on the far right-hand side of your screen there, was actually the core for liftoff of Inspiration 4. So I'm sure she's having a great 360 moment. Now, as we approach the last few minutes before liftoff, we have some well wishes for the crew.
Anna, Sarah, Kid, Jared.
From the Dragonflight software team.
On behalf of the Dragon Propulsion Build team.
Dragon Avionics here.
The materials team.
From the Build Reliability team. The Draco team.
The Dragon Propulsion Engineering team.
Falcon Flight Reliability.
From the Falcon Build Reliability Engineering team to Polaris Dawn.
We're so excited for you on the Polaris Dawn mission. We're wishing you the best of luck from McGregor.
Thanks for allowing us the opportunity to do a lot of testing.
Thank you to Flying Dragon.
Please remember to keep your hands, arms, legs, and feet inside the vehicle at all times.
May Falcon and Dragon propel you to unimaginable heights.
I know our engines will get you there safe.
Go fly higher than than Dragon's ever flown before.
And hope you enjoy your internet in space.
Good luck. Safe travels and
Go Polaris Dawn.
go Polaris Dawn.
Godspeed, Polaris Dawn.
We're waiting to hear Core talking to the crew, configure crew displays, and give them the farewell
Copy,
message.
Dragon. Enjoy the journey and go safely.
To our SpaceX family, thank you. Today is all of our mission. You are launching with us. So many more faculties have gone into the stage. This is the dawn of a new future in space.
Coming up on T-minus 9 minutes and counting. Displays are configured for launch. We've heard from the crew. Core is giving them the ready to launch message. Now coming up here, as we launch, you're going to hear some call outs, possibly stage 1A or mode 1 alpha. These are abort modes that just let the crew know as we're flying what they should be prepared for in case they had to execute an emergency escape from the Falcon 9. Don't expect that, but they are trained, and that's when you hear 1A, that means they've lifted off. 1B you might hear, that'll come late in the ascent as we're throttling down the Merlins on the first stage. And then when we're on second stage, you'll hear 2A and eventually Shannon, which is a call out for Ireland that tells the crew that they can cross the North Atlantic. And then finally we get into orbit and everything gets disabled and Dragon will separate. But right now, coming up on T-minus 8 minutes, everything continues to go well.
At T-minus 7 seconds, we should hear the call out that stage 1 engine chill has started. At this point in time, when we hear that, we'll know that we're beginning to flow a little bit of the super chilled liquid oxygen through the first stage engines. This helps to basically pre-chill the engine hardware prior to the full flow of that super chilled liquid oxygen. This helps the ignition sequence and helps to avoid any thermal shock to the hardware. At this point in time, Falcon continuing to undergo its propellant loading operations. And standing by for the call out for that engine chill initiation.
Engine chill has started.
And great news there. As Kate mentioned, engine chill has begun. And we are loading propellants on Falcon 9's first and second stage. Second stage propellant loading for RP1 has completed. We're getting close to wrapping up propellant loading on stage 1. And while RP1 will be completed around the T-minus 6 minute mark, liquid oxygen loading will continue on both first and second stage as we get closer to the T0. So we should hear a call
Stage
out.
1 RP1 load is complete.
Perfect timing. Stage 1 RP1, or the fuel for the Falcon 9 vehicle, has completed on the first stage.
Now coming up next at around T-minus 5 minutes, we should hear a call out that Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count. This is similar to the startup phase of the count for Falcon. It's essentially when the vehicle takes over control of the count and starts to operate on internal power and on internal computers. So of course, Falcon 9 enters the startup phase at T-minus 1 minute. And Dragon will transition to configure for terminal count at T-minus 5 minutes. Got a great view right now of both Dragon on the left side of your screen and our 4 crew members on the right. We are now approaching the final minutes of the countdown here.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
Dragon isn't configured for terminal count.
So we've heard the call out. Dragon's configured for the last 5 minutes of the count. We're also pressurizing the second stage propellant tanks, first stage tanks. The strong back retract will be coming up next.
Strong back is retracting.
All right, so there's that call out. We should begin to see it retract slightly from Falcon 9. LOX load continues on both first and second stage. Fuel loading is complete on first and second stage. We expect the LOX load to complete on first stage at T-minus 3 minutes and complete on second stage around T-minus 2 minutes.
And we do try and load the liquid oxygen as close to T0 as possible. This keeps the liquid oxygen is at cryo temperature, so keeps it as cold as possible, which allows it to be as dense as we possibly can keep it while we're loading the tanks. That allows us to get a little bit more liquid oxygen into those tanks. And as Kate mentioned, at T-minus 3 minutes, we should see stage 1 liquid oxygen loading completing. And at T-minus 2 minutes, that will be stage 2 liquid oxygen loading completion. And once we hit that T-minus 2 minute mark, that will conclude propellant loading for Falcon 9. We are coming up here just about 10 seconds or so for that call out of stage 1 liquid oxygen loading.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
Okay, there's the call out.
Dragon is in terminal count and on internal power.
Dragon's on internal power. First stage, propellant tanks are loaded. Next major event, approximately T-minus 2 minutes, liquid oxygen load completes on the second stage. After that, at about T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds or so, we will tell the crew to expect loud venting as we depressurize and drain the lines up the side of the strong back. And then as we get down inside the last minute 45 and then 1 minute, we'll get Dragon into countdown. Falcon 9 computers will go to startup. Waiting for the call out now for liquid oxygen.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
And there we go, LOX loading complete on second stage. All major propellant activities are complete. Dragon
is in auto idle.
Dragon's gone to auto idle, one of the states in its flight computer. We'll begin venting down the lines.
Gas closeouts are starting. Expect loud venting.
There we go. So the plume you see coming off of the strong back here, that's normal. As we come up on T-minus 1 minute, we'll hear Dragon computers in the countdown, Falcon 9 computers in the countdown, flight termination system armed, and then we'll hear the goes. So let's listen in to the last 66 seconds of the countdown.
FPS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
Dragon is in countdown.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
Send us, SpaceX.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and launch. Go Falcon, go Polaris.
Copy, 1 Alpha.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T plus 35 seconds into the Polaris Dawn mission, flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9 to new heights.
Power and telemetry nominal.
And we're throttling down in preparation
down.
for max Q. Next call out will be the vehicle supersonic. And there on the left side, we've got the Polaris Dawn crew.
Supersonic.
Thumbs up from the pilot on the left side there.
Max Q.
We're throttled back up to power.
1 Bravo.
And we heard the call out, 1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
That just tells the crew what would happen should they need to initiate anything. But right now, everybody making nominal callouts on Falcon 9. Nice views from the ground camera and nice view from inside Dragon.
MVAC chill is underway.
The announcement lets us know we've begun the final chill of the second stage engine in preparation for its activity coming up at about T plus 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Two minutes into flight. Everything continues to look good. We'll have in half a minute 3 major activities. Shutdown of the 9 Merlin 1D engines. Stage separation.
Throttle down.
And then ignition of the second stage engine. Throttle down, we're holding a constant acceleration now for the crew just below 4 Gs. See, we're coming up 70 kilometers. Preparing for MECO.
Main engine cut off.
2 Alpha.
Stage separation confirmed.
Copy, 2 Alpha.
MVAC ignition.
As you can tell by the cheers behind us and the views on your screen, the first stage booster now on its way to attempt landing on Just Read the Instructions. Second stage there on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see that the first stage has not yet reached its apogee. You can see the altitude there. Lots of thumbs up there, from pilot Scott Kid Poteet. Now 3.5 minutes into the Polaris Dawn mission. First stage continuing to make its way up to its apogee. We'll see that altitude begin to slow down.
Dragon SpaceX trajectory nominal.
Great news there, indicating
Dragon copy.
that the second stage trajectory is looking good. Now the grid fins have deployed on the first stage. If we get first stage views, we might be able to see the Florida coast in the background. Oh, they're right there. Yeah, we sure can. Once again, our drone ship is attempting to land on, our booster is attempting to land on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. Now, the next event coming up will be the entry burn, taking place around T plus 7.5 minutes. This burn will utilize 3 of the engines on the first stage. That helps to slow the booster down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Dragon copies.
Following the entry burn, we will see the landing burn, and that'll be around T plus 9 minutes. That one will be just a single engine burn, and that will bring the booster down for a soft landing on our drone ship. Around the same time as that, we expect to see Dragon be injected into orbit. Everything continuing to look good for second stage there on the right-hand side of your screen. Beautiful glow with that MVAC engine nozzle. We can see the crew settling
Dragon
quite...
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Dragon copies.
Crew seems pretty comfortable there at T plus 6 minutes. They're at about 4 Gs. And everything looks good. First stage continuing its descent back down to planet Earth. We can see the crew remain with their visors down in the locked position. That'll remain that way until they are in orbit. Everything continuing to look great with the second stage engine burn there, as well as the
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Dragon copies.
We're about 30 seconds away from the first stage entry burn. This is the first of 2 burns that the first stage will perform. Designed to help reduce the amount of drag experienced by the first stage.
Stage 2 FTSS saved.
All right, standing by for entry burn begin on the first stage, there on the left-hand side of your screen.
And right on time, you can see on your left-hand screen that the entry burn has begun. There's 3 engines lit on that first stage vehicle. And this is about a 29-second burn and helps slow the vehicle down as it's re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. There you can see that the engines have now shut down on that first stage. That concludes the entry burn. And the cool part about this, with the stage 1 vehicle returning back to Earth, is we get to fully utilize the atmosphere. The atmosphere actually...
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
The atmosphere actually scrubs about 70% of the velocity on the vehicle. So we use that entry burn to help slow the vehicle down. Then we utilize the atmosphere and the drag from the atmosphere to slow the vehicle down. And then we do have 1 single burn for the landing burn.
Copy. Shannon.
And next up will be SECO 1. And that is second stage engine cutoff 1, and that'll be on the second stage. That MVAC engine on your right-hand screen will shut down and allow the vehicle with Dragon attached to coast.
MVAC shut down.
And there's that shutdown. And the landing burn on the first stage should be starting up here momentarily. And there it is. Landing burn has begun for...
Dragon SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
Dragon SpaceX, launch escape system disarmed. Copy that, SpaceX, and we show the same.
And a lot of events happening right there, but you can see that the stage 1 vehicle has touched down. Just read the instructions. A very exciting crowd there. Here in Hawthorne, we've also confirmed MVAC engine shutdown and orbital insertion of the second stage with the crew on board.
Yeah, honestly, a pretty impressive crowd for 2:30 in the morning here. We can see the crew enjoying their first taste of microgravity there on the left-hand side of your screen. Now that the MVAC engine has shut down, they are able to just kind of float free. We might catch a glimpse of the zero-G indicator. Can't quite tell if they've... Oh, it looks like it's in the upper right-hand corner. It'll come back into view here. Once again, they will keep their visors on until given the okay by core here on the ground. At this point in time, the Dragon and the Dragon trunk